Eventually, some people get to a point where their stock radio isn't enough, and they want better. This video will teach you exactly what you need for upgrading your car stereo. Let's get right into it. I'm going to take this video as the viewer does not have a single clue what they're doing because they've never done anything on this topic. So, if you already heard some things from other people or you're just smart, then just go ahead and skip to where you need to be on the chapters below. If there's anything that you don't know, feel free to ask me in the comments if I didn't cover it in the video. And yeah, enjoy the video. Let's go on to the first topic now. Okay, so the first topic are mids, and mids are your door speakers. Just make it plain and simple for people who don't know what they're doing. Mids are your door speakers. Now, there's tons of different options online, tons of different brands, many different things, but you need to find what fits for you. So, do your research beforehand, and some of my personal favorites will be in the description, such as Scar Audio ones, or the brand B2, or you can just go for simple Pioneers or Boss speakers. Whatever fits your genre, and like, not genre, but whatever fits your vibe for whatever you want to play, or whatever you feel fits better in your car. And make sure you get the right size. If your speakers on your door are 5 inches, and measure it before you buy anything, because you don't want to buy something that doesn't fit. So if your door speakers are 5 or 6 inches, make sure you get the perfect amount with your tape measure. So measure it, and let's say 6 inches, yeah. Go on to one of these websites. You could easily get some off of Amazon too, if you don't want to go do too much research. But pay attention to the watts, because the watts matter. Because you don't want to blow your car's stock amplifier. So that's where the second thing comes in. The second thing will be amplifiers. And there's 2 different types of amplifiers, but the one we're going to be focusing on for this topic right here are 4-channel amplifiers. 4-channel amplifiers, I say 4-channel because most cars have 4 doors, meaning 4 speakers. So you get an amplifier, like let's say you do some research and you hop onto Amazon and you buy a 1000 watt 4-channel amplifier. Now the way that this is going to work is each channel is going to be able to play 250 watts at a certain ohms. Pay attention to the ohms too. I don't know too much about the ohms. Do some of your own research on that. I'm sorry that I can't provide that, but pay attention to the ohms too, because you don't want to overdo something or underdo it when you could be getting exactly what you need. Like, if you were to underdo it, you could be getting exactly what you need for a lot more, or if you overdo it, you could blow the amplifier. And amplifiers are expensive, man. Like, these prices are crazy, dude. Onto the next thing, fuse. You're gonna want a fuse under your hood. That's where most people put them. That way, for example, I have a story of experience. I was taking apart the amplifier because in the back of my parents' SUV, the family car, we have a 15 and a 10, right? Or we had the 10. So we were taking out the 10 box, that way we could install the 10 back in. And the 10 was already out, and I had to take off the amplifier because we had the amplifier mounted to the side of the 10 box. And I was taking it off, and I was taking the wires out at first. And one of the wires came undone and scraped the side of the amplifier, and it created a giant spark. First thing that I thought is the fuse is done. The fuse is done. I went up there and checked the fuse. Luckily, it was not done, but it sparked pretty bad, and the fuse is there. That way, if it sparks like that and it tries to break something because of an overload on power or whatever it's overloading to break it, the fuse is up there. That way, the fuse gets blown, and your amplifier, for example, does not get blown. So a fuse is important, and you can get these pretty cheap, I'd say, for like saving the amplifier because of how much amplifiers are. If you get a fuse and it's like $50, which would be a very expensive one, if you get a fuse and it's like $50, that is way worth it than blowing your amplifier and having to go buy another $200 amplifier, dude. Next up will be tweeters. Now, for example, the Suburban, my family car, has tweeters on the front. They're kind of messed up, but it's not my car, so I haven't put anything into it. But the tweeters are the ones, the tiny little high frequency speakers, the ones that play really loud but like little to no bass at all. So tweeters are pretty much a viable thing for any sound system if you want loud, because you could have loud bass, right? Let's say you got a subwoofer in your trunk, it's super loud, right? But it's too loud to the point where you can't hear your music. Or let's say your music just gets too loud on the mids to the point where you can't hear the song. That's where tweeters come in. You install your tweeters, get it with a different amplifier, that's what I would recommend, and hook it up to the radio, and you should be pretty good with that part. Okay, so next up is going to be a voltmeter. Voltmeters, people use these just to put it somewhere on their dashboard, and they hook it up to their battery because with subwoofers, or like kind of any speaker, it can drain your battery very quickly if you don't have a capacitor or an extra battery, because the alternator can only do so much, and sometimes you might need to upgrade your alternator too. I covered that in part 1 of this video, which will be right up there, and if you want to go watch that, I say watch that before you watch this, but you're already halfway into this video, just watch it afterwards. So the voltmeter, if you're playing your radio very loud, right, and your subwoofer's in the back just slamming, and then it just cuts out. Like the music just cuts out for like 5 seconds, comes back on. That means you need an upgrade for a battery, a capacitor, or something to downgrade with your subwoofer because it's using way too much power. What we did is we just installed another battery in my parents' car, and we also used the alternator out of my dad's truck for that. So it plays pretty good. It plays pretty good. It doesn't drain it like it used to in that video that I just showed y'all a minute ago, and it does way better. So what you're going to want to do to install one of these is pretty much just hook it up to your battery with the wires that it gives you. Make sure you don't put negative on positive, otherwise it's going to be backwards. And then have it run in through the firewall, probably sitting somewhere up on the dash or under the dash, that way you can see it. And that's like an extra precaution, that way you don't drain your battery too much, or you know if you're going to drain your battery and you know that you need to upgrade it. And it's kind of just something that some people do for cosmetics, so go with what your own flow is and enjoy your speakers. Now, next is going to be subwoofers. A lot of people, whenever you throw this word around, they have no idea what the hell you're talking about, and assuming that you are somebody who knows nothing about car audio, you probably don't know what it is either. Now, a subwoofer is the opposite of a tweeter. It's like a low frequency speaker. It's a lot thicker too, and I can show some examples real quick. So with these, you put them in boxes, right? And you hook them up to monoblock amplifiers. And we'll cover those in a second, but it plays a low frequency, the bass. So if you have like AirPods or headphones and certain rap songs get a certain tone that hits, that's what these play. But it's a lot louder, and it shakes a lot of things. Yeah, I know. It's cool though. And that's where sound deadener comes in. Some people don't like the rattle of their trunk whenever their music is playing, or the rattle of their door, or their mirrors, or anything. So what comes next is sound deadener. If you install this the correct way and you get it for the right price, because remember, you're always paying for what you get. If something is $1, it's not good, unless it's like a pack of gum. But sound deadener, you put it up on the trunk. If you take off the panel, you put it up there. It'll silence it a lot better, and it'll make it sound a lot better on the inside too, because the bass isn't going out the truck pretty much. It's staying on the inside, and you won't really disturb many people, unless that's what you want to do. But if that's what you want to do, just don't put in sound deadener. It's not required. It's just something that some people do because they don't like the rattle, or they want it to sound better on the inside. If you've already got what you got and you like it, stick with that, but you can still upgrade it. So to cover subwoofers a little bit more. Subwoofers are confusing, but I covered those a little good. And if you want more on that, I can make a video on that, or you can just go look at a different video on that. But what comes next would be a monoblock amplifier, because you can't play a subwoofer with a 4-channel amplifier unless it's I've never even tried that. I wonder if that would work. But you get a monoblock amplifier. For example, if you get a amplifier that is 2,000 watts max, and you install a 2,000 watt subwoofer, you will be using it at its peak. So I wouldn't suggest doing that. I'd suggest getting like a 200 and 500. I mean, a 2,500 watt one. with a 2,000 watt subwoofer, but it's all up to you. It all It's all personal choice. But they do get kind of expensive, especially the subwoofers. The most I've seen them going for is 2,000, but those are like 10,000 watt subwoofers. So you don't need one of those unless you're like that and go spend all that money on that. But whenever it comes to this, it's a very confusing topic. And that's why it's taken me so long to make this video, 158 days almost, to make a part 2. But it's also just because I got caught up with other things, like a lot, and just a lot of things in life. But I'm back, and ready to work for this channel, grow it some more. That way my community doesn't blow their subwoofers or anything like that. Just that way people in the world don't screw up. That's what this is for. But to cover everything, we covered mids, fuses, sound deadeners, amplifiers, monoblock and 4 channels, tweeters, voltmeters, and subwoofers. This may sound like very confusing to anybody who doesn't know anything about this. I'd say do some research on each separate thing. That way you know exactly what you're doing. And one thing that you should do research on is watts and ohms. Watts and ohms are important because if you don't get it right, it's not going to work right, it's not going to sound right, and you could blow something. I wish everybody luck. If you have any questions at all with anything in this, just go right into the comments and ask me. And if you can, please subscribe, because my channel is not that big and I'm trying to get this word out to more people. I would really appreciate it. Like and share the video if you want. It doesn't really matter. I appreciate everybody who watched this. Have a good day.